day, everyone, especially to our dear Professor Sir Fidel Ladra, Sir. This is by Rehan A. Abdullah, the discussant. So this is our assigned topic, the legal basis of special education. So the reporters, truly yours, Abdullah by Rehan, Bayaw Nasser, Buenaflor Kathy, Salik Ulambay, Zaman City, Asia. So as for my assigned topic, the special education in the Philippines. Here, the special education in the Philippines is also known as the special needs education, aided education, vocationally education, and the Lyme Care Authority education. Is the practice of the educating student with special educational needs in a very addresses their individual differences and needs. So this process involves the individually planned and systematically arrangement of teaching procedures. Special education in the Philippines is anchored the following fundamental education. So the special education, also known as a special education, aided education, vocational education, and Lyme Care Authority education, is the practice of educating students the special educational needs in a way that addresses their individual differences and needs. So the special education is anchored on the following legal basis. So Article 356 and 259 of Commonwealth Act number 3203, the right of every child to live in an atmosphere conducive to his physical, moral, intellectual development, and the concomitant duty of the government to promote the full growth of the faculties of the child. So every learner with the special needs, every child to live in an atmosphere to his physical, so there has the right to an educational program that is suitable to his needs, especially in education share with the regular education basic responsibilities of the educational system to fulfill the right of the child to develop his potential. This ultimate shall be the integrate the mainstreaming of the learners with the special needs into the regular school system and eventually into the government. So as to provide the equal opportunities to the child with his physical, moral, intellectual development, to promote the growth of the faculties, so provide the equal opportunities for all learners with the special needs to acquire the knowledge, skills, values necessary for them to adapt the changes will develop their conducive physical, moral, and to develop the special needs of the physical, to develop their intellectual and duty of the government. So to ensure their active and sustain the participation of the learning process, relevant programs to promote the optimal increase the capability of the child. Republic Act number 3562, an act to promote the education of the blind in the Philippines. So, dito sa act number na ito is gumawa sila ng formal training para sa special education teachers para sa mga bulag na bata at the Philippine Normal College, the rehabilitation of the Philippine National School for the Blind or PNSB, and the establishment of Philippine Printing House of the Blind. So this an act promote the education of the blind in the Philippines, be it enacted by the Senate and House of Representative in the Philippines and Congress. So here's the section 1. There shall be established under the supervision of Director of Public School a residential school blind near in the city of Manila. So which shall known as the Philippine National School for the Blind. Said school shall furnish instruction to the blind in the elementary level. In the section 2, upon establishing of the Philippine National School for the Blind, the school for the deaf and the blind is the Pasay City shall cease to give instruction for the blind and all its blind students, and equipment and facilities being used in the instruction of the blind. Members of the faculty teaching the blind shall be transferred to the Philippine National School for the Blind. And section 3, there shall be established under the supervision and control of the Director of Public School a teacher training center to train teacher for the blind. So the Philippine Normal School shall provide room and other facilities for the said center. So, Section 4, the Secretary of Education shall issue such rules and regulations as may be necessary to implement the provision of this act. So, in Section 5, there is a hereby appropriated out of the funds the National Treasury to otherwise appropriated the sum of the 500,000 pesos to carry out the provision of this act of the fiscal year 1944, including the purchase of site and the construction of the building of the Philippine National School for the Blind. Thereafter, the amount necessary of the operating the maintenance of the said school and center shall be included the amount General Appropriation Act. In Section 6, this act shall be take effective upon its approval. So that's all my report.
So, good morning, sir. Good morning, classmate. This is my assigned topic is all about the Republic Act number 5250, an act establishing a 10-year teacher training program for teachers of specially and exceptional children. Provide for the formal training of teachers for deaf, hard of hearing, speech handicap, social and emotionally disturbed, mentally retarded and mentally gifted and youth at the Philippines Normal College and the University of the Philippines. So, Republic Act number 5250, an act establishing a 10-year training program for teachers and specially exceptional children in the Philippines and authorize the appropriation of the funds thereof, be it enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives of the Philippines and Congress Assembly. Section 1. There is hereby established under the administration and supervision of the Bureau of Republic of the Philippines, Bureau of Public Schools, in cooperation with the University of the Philippines, Normal College, and the School for the Deaf and Blind, a 10-year program for the training of special and exceptional children, as amended by Republic Act No. 6067, August 4, 1969. Section 2. The term specially and exceptional children shall include the mentally retarded, the crippled, the deaf, and the hard of hearing, the speech handicapped, the social and emotional disturbed, and the gifted. Section 3. The institution of the learning chosen by the Department of Education to carry out the training of teachers for the program shall grant the necessary credit. Section 4. All expenses by incurred therefore, such as tuition and other fees, stipend of the teachers, trainees, development and training abroad of members of the faculty of the cooperating institution, and those of the special education staff of the General Office, Bureau of Public Schools, and expenses incident to the implementation. This act shall be changed against the funds of the program shall be distributed by the Director of the Public Schools, provided the expenses for development and training abroad shall not exceed 10% of the total appropriation provided in Republic Act No. 5250 and amended by the Republic Act No. 6067, August 4, 1969. Section 5. The program shall, as practicable, include the setting up the pilot classes for special and exceptional children and regular school, with the end of view and integrating said children into the regular school program and of integrating socialization. The program shall set up project in such a way that special education shall be conducted within the facilities of regular school wherever possible. The program shall be set up research and survive project to identify the local exceptional children and need its services. Section 6. A number of scholarships shall be created every year for 10 years for prospective teachers who shall undertake the training courses. The coordinator of the program shall see the scholarship grantees and teachers trainees under the program are intellectually and emotionally prepared to handle special education. Section 7. The Secretary of Education shall issue such rules and regulation and shall employ such specialists as may be necessary to implement the provision of this Act. Section 8. The sum of 350,000 pesos is hereby authorized to be appropriated out of any funds in National Treasury, not otherwise appropriated, to carry out the provision of this Act. For the fiscal year 1968 thereafter, such sum are necessary for the operation and said training program shall be included in the Annual General Appropriation Act. The Section 8, Article 15 of 1973 Constitution of the Philippines, a complete, educate, and integrated system of education relevant to the goals of national development. The Constitution of the Philippines, Saligang Batas ng Pilipinas in Filipino, is the supreme law of the Philippines. The 1973 Constitution, composed of the preamble and 17 articles, provides for the shift from presidential to parliamentary system of the government. The Constitution vests the legislative power in the National Assembly. A Prime Minister is elected from among the members of the National Assembly and serves as the head of government and commander-in-chief of the Philippines. Armed Force, a President is elected from among the members of the National Assembly and serves as the symbolic head state with the 6-year term. The judicial power is visited in the Supreme Court, composed of the Chief Justice and 14 Justices. The National Assembly exercises the power to define, prescribe, and apportion the jurisdiction of the law courts. All justices of the Supreme Court and judges of the lower courts are appointed by the Prime Minister. So the Constitution retains the independence of the Commission on Election and established two independent constitutions, all bodies Civil Service Commission and the Commission on Audit, as well as the National Economic Development Authority or NEDA. On 24 August 1970, the Congress enacted Public Act No. 6132, otherwise known as the Constitution of Convention Act, for the purpose to convene the Constitution All Convention. The 320 delegates met from June 1971 until 30 November 1972, when they approved the draft of the new chapter while in the process of drafting a new constitution. President Ferdinand Marcos declared martial law on September 21, 1972. The draft from January 10 to 17, 1973 for ratification on January 17, 1973. President Marcos issued Proclamation number 1102 announcing the ratification of the Constitution of the Republic Act of the Philippines. The above Constitution was amended in 1976 to 1980 and in 1981. There were minor amendments done in 1984. Article 3 and 74 of the Presidential Decree number 603 of 1975. The emotional disturbed of the socially maladjusted child shall be treated with the sympathy and understanding and shall be given the education and care required by the particular conditions. Thus, where needs warrant, there shall be a less special classes in every province. And if possible, special schools for the physical handicapped, the mentally retarded, the emotional disturbed, and the mentally gifted. The private sectors shall be given all the necessary in documents and encouragement. Presidential Decree number 603, otherwise known as the Child and Youth Welfare Code, and issued in December 1974. Legally defines special categories of youths, including youthful offenders, and directs the Ministry of Social Service and Development, or the MSSD, to provide comprehensive services to assist in youth development. The Presidential Decree number 603, the Child and Youth Welfare Code. This Article 3, the rights of the child. All children shall be entitled to the rights herein set forth without distinction as the legitimacy of illegitimacy, sex, social status, religion, political anciennities, and the other factors. 1. Every child is endowed with dignity and worth of the human being from the moment of his conceptions. As generally accepted in medical parlance and has therefore the right to be born well. 2. Every child has the right to wholesome family life that will provide him with love, care, and understanding, guidance and counseling in moral and material security. 3. The defendant of abandoned child shall be provided with the nearest substitute for a home. Number 3, every child has the right to a well-rounded development of his personality to the end that he may become a happy, useful, and active member of society. The gifted child shall be given opportunity and encouragement to develop his special talents. The emotional disturbed or social maladjusted child shall be treated with sympathy and understanding and shall be entitled to treatment and competent care. The physically or mentally handicapped child shall be given the treatment, education, and care required by his particular conditions. 4. Every child has the right to balanced diet, educate, clothing, sufficient shelter, proper medical attention, and all the basic physical requirements of healthy and vigorous life. 5. Every child has the right to be brought up in an atmosphere of morality and rectitude. 4. An enrichment of the strengthening of his character. 6. Every child has the right to an education commensurate with his ability and to the development of his skills for the improvement of his capacity for service to himself and to his fellow women. 7. Every child has the right to full opportunities for safe and wholesome recreation and activities, individual as well as social, for the wholesome use of his leisure hours. 8. Every child has the right to protection against exploitation, improper influence, hazards, and other conditions of circumstance prejudicial to his physical, mental, and emotional, social, and moral development. 9. Every child has the right to live in community and society that can offer him an environment free from pernicious influence and conducive to the promotion of his health and the cultivation of his desirable traits and attributes. 10. Every child has the right to care, assistance, and protection of the state, particularly when his parents and guardians fail or unable to provide him with his fundamental needs for growth, development, and improvement. 11. Every child has the right to efficient and honest government that will define his faith and democracy and inspire him with the morality of the Constitution authorities both in their public and private lives. 12. Every child has the right to grow a free individual in an atmosphere of peace, understanding, tolerance, and universal brotherhood, and with the determination to contribute his share in his building of better world. The Article 74 special classes, where needs warrant, there shall be least special classes in every province, and it's possible special schools for the physical handicapped and the mental retarded, the emotional disturbed, and the special gifted. The private sector shall be given all the necessary documents and encouragement to establish such classes or schools. That's all my report po. Thank you.
Good morning, I am Olambay Salih. This is my assigned topic. So, first is Presidential Decree number 1509 of 1978 created the National Commission Concerning Disabled Persons, or NCCDP. So, Executive Order number 232, July 22, 1987, provided for the structural and functional reorganization of the NCCDP to the National Council for Welfare or Disabled Person
Persons NCWDP Executive Order Number 709 February 28, 2008 renamed the NECWDP as the National Council Affairs attached to the Office of the President. So, next is Education Act of 1982 or Batas Pambansa bilang 232. The state shall promote the right of every individual to relevant quality education regardless of sex, age, breed, socio-economical status, physical and mental condition, social and ethnic origin, political and other affiliations. The state shall therefore promote and maintain equality of access to education as enjoyment of the benefits of education by all its citizens. So, this was an act providing for the establishment and maintenance of an integrated system of education. In accordance with Section 2, this act shall apply to and govern both formal and non-formal system in public and private schools in all levels of the entire educational system as provided by this act. The national development goals are as follows. So the first one is to achieve and maintain an accelerating rate of economic development and social progress. So the second one is to assure the maximum participation of all the people in the attainment and enjoyment of the benefits of such growth. And the last is to achieve and strengthen national unity and consciousness and preserve, develop and promote desirable cultural, moral and spiritually values in changing world. So the next is Section 24 Special Education Service. The state further recognizes its responsibility to provide within the context of the formal education system services to meet special needs or certain clientele, these specific types which should be guided by the basic policies of the state embodied in the general provision of this act include work education or practical arts as a program of basic education which aims to develop the right attitude towards work and technical vocational education, post-secondary but not degree programs leading to 1, 2, or 3-year certificates and preparation for a group of middle-level occupations. And special education, this education of the person who are physically, mentally, emotionally, socially, or culturally different from the so-called normal individuals that they require modification of school practices services to develop them to their maximum capacity. And the non-formal education, any organized school-based educational activities undertaken by the Ministry of Education, Cultural and Sports and other agencies aimed at attaining specific learning objectives for a particular clientele, especially the LT grades and the out-of-school youth and adults, distinct from and outside the regular offering of the formal school system. The objectives of the non-formal education are as follow. So first is to indicate a literacy and raise the level of functional literacy of the population. Then the second is to provide unemployed and underemployed youth and adults with appropriate vocational technical skills to enable them to become more productive and effective citizens. And the last one is to develop among the clientele of non-formal education proper values and attitudes necessary for personal, community, and national development. So, yun lamang po. Salamat.
And as independently as possible. They everyone, my name is the concern of everyone. I am the community and all government and non-government topic organization. Right of person with disability must never be perceived as welfare service. Prohibition on verbal, non-verbal ridicule and vilification against person with disability should always be observed at all time. So, ang mga taong may kapansanan ay mayroon din silang kalawayaan na mabuhay at mamuhay ng may pagmamahal at sila yung mga mayroon din silang may lugar din para sa kanila. So, ang Pilipinas ay mayroon din na isa batas dito sa Pilipinas na ganito. Republic Act 9442. So, the Republic Act number 9442, an act amending Republic Act number 7277, otherwise known as the Magna Carta for Person with Disability, as amended for the other purpose, granting additional privileges and incentives and prohibition on verbal, non-verbal ridicule and verification against person with disability. So, thank you.